apologize. I apologize for that.
The U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
There's new information, explosive new information.
It's how every day starts.
Okay, Pastor Ash, if you could come again, please.
Santita Jackson.
Weekday mornings. All right. The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want.
This is 8 News.
Leads me beside the still water.
Hurricane is moving closer to Florida.
Okay, I can hear Reverend Hatch on Facebook.
That's perfect. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Now we are up. Hey, Andre.
Although some weakening occur when it's
okay. Gotta get these.
Strong winds, the life-threatening storm surge, and heavy rainfall are likely to occur over portions of the west coast of Florida.
The National Hurricane Center expects the storm to approach the west central coast of Florida by Wednesday night. There are concerns that Russia may try to ramp up the war in Ukraine once it completes its referendums in parts of Ukraine under its control. That voting is widely seen as a sham.
Okay, that's
the
great.
AP's Charles de Ledesma.
Russia's widely expected to declare the results in its favor, a step that could see Moscow annex the territory.
So what do you think's going to happen with the Bears this year?
Seeks to defend it as its own territory under the Russian nuclear umbrella. Now,
They'll be up and down.
Jake Sullivan says Russia would pay.
I don't think they're going to be consistent.
Well, you know, I'll tell you.
Watch though. It's all entertainment.
I have. Oh, absolutely. But you know, I have always said. I said this to Connie Payton. I'll just put it right there. And she's so sweet.
iPhone 14 and
I said, "Girl, I was done with the Bears when they wouldn't let you, when they would not let your husband
grow and pandemic
carry
get a many industries.
Get a touchdown during the Super Bowl.
Smartphone.
I said after I was done with them.
Amazon will hold a second Prime Day like shopping.
I said I'm done.
This one in
she said, "Oh, don't be that way." I said, "I am that way."
Big
I'm shady.
Sorry. Holiday deals earlier this year.
Sorry.
Consumers dealing with tighter budgets.
That's what they did.
Oh, they were unkind to him.
Access to discounted items.
I said no. They were not right. I said they were not right to him. I said, and here he carried this, and you know, it might have ended his life a little early.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
You know, because football players take. I mean, Youssef played, you know, Division I football with and this is his birthday today. And you know, you and Jesse have the same birthday.
Yeah, March 11th.
Yeah.
I'm a little older, but
whatever. At this point, does it really matter?
My mother's name was Helen Jackson. I told you that, didn't
I? No, your mother's name?
Vetoed legislation Sunday night.
Yeah, my mother's name.
You have got to be kidding me.
Whether through homeschooling, public or private school.
Oh, my mama Helen's name.
Public school.
Yeah.
You don't know now. You know you touched my heart now because you know that was my
about 260
my mama Helen
annually. I'm Rita Foley.
Yeah.
I love that woman
WCPT
today.
Yellow Springs and streaming worldwide at
Love her. Let me know when you will be able to, you know, join some of our other panel discussions, the political ones, because I know you've got a lot going on.
I listen often.
Well, you know, doesn't mean you're not in the middle of a meeting.
Yeah.
No, but just let me know what, you know, because I would like to get pastors who are inclined to be a part of these discussions, and all of you are not. And I appreciate that, you know, but you are. And because you are, I would like to involve you. You know, when you have time. I understand how that is.
After a crash, which cleared quickly. Stevenson's a little heavy approaching the ride.
So thank you so much. So let me know, you know, because we're also coming to the midterms, Pastor.
This is WC.
Oh yeah.
And you know,
I told the church preached out south yesterday. I said any semblance of a democracy might be over in about 6 weeks.
Well, you know, it's not like it's really been one.
How about we grab a
right?
picnic?
Right.
And so I think we have to continue to assert that.
How about we play tennis?
That you know that we've been fighting to make America democratic.
Find them on Our Time, the #1
You know,
site
that's
for
been the
singles over
problem.
50. It's easy to use.
You know,
and
making
easy to find
America
people who love
democratic.
doing the
That's
same
not.
things you do.
That's not been the inclination, you know.
To just going for a bike ride.
All right, 60 seconds, everyone.
Okay, just a moment.
60 years.
Oh, can you give me another minute? Is that
Another minute?
possible?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you so much.
Your family more delicious farm fresh taste.
I appreciate
plus
that.
Superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs. Eggland's Best provides 6 times
Thank you
more
so
vitamin
much.
D,
I'm sorry
10 times
about
more
that.
vitamin E, and 25% less saturated.
No worries.
Oh, thank you.
These are
I'm just
no
sorry that I
ordinary
gave it to you
times,
so late.
Why choose an ordinary egg?
I hate to do
Only
that, you know I
Eggland's
do.
Best. Better taste,
Just
better
something just came
nutrition,
across
better eggs.
here.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding
All right, now 60
you.
seconds.
Thank
spot
you.
that only
Thank you.
know about, and instead of what you came for, you found something a little different? What if instead of your private stash, you found a simple phone number, 1-800-662-HELP? What would you do? Would you stop and give it some thought? Would you make the call?
Okay.
The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before those risks become real, before drugs turn your life upside down, before drugs take their toll on
Hey
you,
everybody, how you doing? Hey Jewel, up there in New York.
you can't quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use or prescription drug misuse, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and
10 seconds.
Okay.
referral, or go to samhsa.gov. There is help.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. It's a joy to be with you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend, restful weekend. I actually got some sleep last night. I cannot believe it, everybody. Call me or text me at 773-763-9278. Where are you calling? WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. I hope that we can have some great engagement today as we talk about Liz Cheney, who says that she would even campaign for the Democrats if former President Trump is a nominee. She refuses to be a Republican. She will leave the party. It's interesting. She has a very interesting history. She voted with President Trump, then President Trump, 93% of the time. 93% of the time. So is this political or personal? Of course it's personal. He wiped out the Republican establishment. We need to talk about that. But then that is how her father got into office. Do you remember the Brooks Brothers riots? Let us not be the United States of amnesia. Remember that. The Brooks Brothers riots, an election was stolen in 2000 as well. Ooh, and they did the stealing. Not saying that is right. I'm just saying it did happen. So let's talk about that today. And then let's talk about Virginia Thomas. You know, it's interesting. They're now calling her Jenny. You know, the diminutive, you know, the sweet name. She's a very powerful woman. This is Clarence Thomas's wife, Justice Clarence Thomas's wife. And her political power has increased as we now have what they are calling the Thomas Court. He has bided his time. And he is now the senior, if not most respected justice on the court, on a conservative court where he's the most conservative member of that court. But now she has been called and she has agreed to meet with the January 6th committee. Will this be a public hearing? And this is someone who attended the January 6th rally, not the riot, but the rally. She was in touch with the then president's chief of staff. Hey, we got to work to overturn this election. All of that. And Justice Thomas refuses to recuse himself from cases regarding January 6th. I mean, so we got a lot to talk about. And what about her? Should there be any penalty? Should he be investigated? What's going on, everybody? Call me at 773-763-9278. And I want you to meet my morning stars on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Hey, Shirley Carter from beautiful Philadelphia and my godbrother, Andre Parker, sending everybody love. Dave Dowling, my sweetie. Donnie D. Jewel from up there in New York. My sister up in New York. Mark Stevens, my brother in D.C. I might be at homecoming this year at Howard. Who knows? I've been People have been on me about it. I said, I got to do it. Joyce Anderson, Carol Crowley, how you doing, sweetie? Sending so much love. Hey, Renee Faulkner, how you doing? D-Ray, my D-Ray. And I'm sending you all much love today. Everybody call me, text me, Facebook user. Girl, give me your name. Or guy. 773-763-9278. Let's get to some of these headlines. In Chicago, I think the autumn is here, everybody. 64 degrees will be our high today. Partly cloudy. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 63 degrees. Partly cloudy. In Major League Baseball, the Tigers 4, the White Sox 1. The Cubs 8, the Pirates 3. And the Angels 10 and the Twins 3. But in football, hey, the Bears won another one, 23-20 over the Texans, and the Vikings were triumphant too, 28-24 over the Lions. Florida is bracing as Ian strengthens into a hurricane, sending many prayers and much love to everybody there. A hurricane watch has been issued for the west coast of Florida as now Hurricane Ian threatens to soon arrive packing powerful winds and dangerous storm surges, according to the National Hurricane Center. President Vladimir Putin's threat of using nuclear weapons in his invasion of Ukraine, quote, could be a reality, close quote, according to Ukraine President Zelensky. He said that in a CBS interview yesterday. A NASA spacecraft will deliberately slam into an asteroid today to determine if this kind of mission can help deflect space objects posing a threat to Earth. The NASA Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, aims to make history today at 7:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when it makes impact with the asteroid. Everybody duck at 6:14 Central Standard Time. Many Americans are bracing for the cold reality that they will have to shell out more money this year to keep their homes warm during the winter. Oh, heaven help us all. Families are expected to pay an average of 17.2% more for home heat during this coming season compared to last winter. Do you have enough money for that? This brings a 2-year hike to more than 35%. Don't you think they need to come up with a justification for that? And now in Italy, we're seeing this populist surge, which is pushing to the right in Europe as it did in the United States. Giorgia Meloni has claimed victory in a general election that seems set to install her as Italy's first female prime minister, leading the most far-right government since the fall of Benito Mussolini. I think the question that we really need to ask is, why is this happening? Why are these populist movements from the left in the global south and from the right in Europe, why are they taking place? But first, you know what? I want to get some good news to you. And of course, the good news today is coming from the anointed, really Reverend Dr. Marshall Hatch. You've got to go to his cathedral. His church is an historical landmark. Indeed, they have the largest stained glass representation of the American civil rights martyrs of any place in the world. And you've got to go there and see it. It's a fabulous, fabulous place. And they have tremendous ministries there. Hope that you'll be a part of New Mount Pilgrim Church. Pastor, give me some good news today, because every day there's something crazy coming down the pike in the news. It's just a whole lot that's going on, Pastor.
What a powerful setup for the news that you get us a week. A lot of work ahead. Lots of challenges coming in our direction. And so it's Monday, the first day of the work week. Question I would ask is, what did we do this weekend? Did we have any semblance of something we used to call a Sabbath? For one religious tradition, it's what we call Fridays. For another one, it's what we call Saturday. For another religious tradition, it could be Sunday. But what did you do this weekend? Did you have a Sabbath day, a day of ceasing? It's very interesting to me as we have gone through this pandemic and had our lives disoriented. One of the first things that we have done away with is Sabbath. Churches are empty. People are watching virtually, if they watch at all. People aren't coming back. Why every 5 pastors are contemplating quitting. Churches in many of our traditions are closing down. Faith communities are topsy-turvy. And I don't know that we fully thought about what it means when we have turned away from a Sabbath day, when we have stopped observing Sabbath, when we stop remembering a Sabbath day and keeping it apart from every other day. The loss of Sabbath means the loss of the meaning of time. When every day is like every other day, time has no meaning. When you were at the Fellowship Church, people ordered their whole lives on which Sunday it was. And people knew that on the first Sunday, it was special. They had communion, and they know that one Sunday it would be a musical, and then what Sunday in October was going to be the anniversary for the senior choir. I mean, literally, people ordered their lives around Sundays, around Sabbaths. And time had meaning based upon how close you were to Sunday or how far away you were from Sunday. And we ordered our lives around time we spent that was different from any other time. It was God's time. It was God's day. We've gotten away from all of that. And now we've blurred all the distinctions. There is no, for example, Sabbath, meaning there's no special day. So it's just like any other day, every day. And then now we work from home, so there's no distinction between time and space. And the question is, when do we do something different than we do every other day so that time for every day will have meaning? We don't do it anymore. And it caused me to think what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 11, "Come to me, all you that are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest," because we're weary, we're tired. And if we wake up Monday tired, we're in bad shape. It means that we are not fortified to fight the fights of the week because we never rested. And so the invitation is to come apart, come rest a while, restore some balance in your life, unplug. Did you ever unplug your electronic gadgets anytime this past weekend? Or were you always available for them? Did you make the mistake of creating something or something that you should possess that now possesses you? Did you ever unplug? Did you ever unload? Did you ever stop thinking about the hustle and bustle and bills and needs? Did you ever rest in a Sabbath to say that God finished the work of creation before God created you, and therefore you're not as necessary to your own survival as you think you might be? Did you ever let go and let God at any time this weekend and just say, God has handled it? Did you ever Sabbath? Did you ever cease? Did you ever unplug and unload? I'm going to challenge you to restore some balance to your life, to make sure you have a day that's separate from every other day, that in your tradition and mine, or however you do it, could be the Lord's day, the day you unplug, the day you unwind, the day you require everything around you respect a special space and a special time, and you simply cease from worrying and Sabbath. Then you can wake up on Monday refreshed and ready to fight the good fights. But you can't fight when you're weary. You have to come apart. Come and rest. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. I I challenge you to Sabbath. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And we don't do that. We just work all the way through. And sometimes I think it takes us away from living, right? I mean, it's easier for us to do that than it is to live. I've got less than a minute. What do you want people to do this week? How do they create a Sabbath, that sacred space in their week? 1 minute.
You have to have a separated time and space when you unplug, when you unload, so you can unwind. You're going to have to, at some point, unplug those gadgets or remove yourself from them and then come back to them. At some point, you got to cease. We become slaves to what we created, and that is what the downfall of man is. God would never make something and then allow that thing to rule God. God makes time, but God is not subject to time, because whenever God shows up, God is on time. And so Jesus does not rush back to heal Lazarus because he has the power to raise Lazarus. So he's never late. Because God would never make something and then become the slave to it, like we do.
What'd you say? He's an on-time God.
And then the phones run us. He's an on-time God.
Yes,
always on time.
Let me pull out Dottie Peoples today.
Whenever God shows up, God is on time.
Let me find Dottie Peoples. I love that woman. He's an on-time God.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. And that is for, I'm aware that many people who listen are affiliated with no faith tradition at all. I do hope, though, that you will get from Pastor Hatch, because he ministers to everyone. I hope that you will get from everybody who is ministering to you just a good word that will help you on your way. There's an old song, you got to stop by the church sometimes. Something might be said that might help you on your way. And I hope that wonderful word did that for you today, because we all need a sacred space. We all need a sacred time. We all need that. Blessings to you, Pastor. And how could we, just in just a few seconds, your address, and how can we come and worship with you?
Sundays, the New Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church, 4301 West Washington Boulevard at 10 a.m. And of course, if you can't make it in the building, we're always streaming live on Meta, on Facebook, 10 o'clock Central Time on Sundays. New Mount Pilgrim Church, Chicago.
All right, now, there you go. And on Meta, you can tell he's with the young people. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Thank you so much.
Gotta say it right.
Reverend Dr. Marshall Hatch, everybody, the senior pastor of the New Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church. Indeed, it's a cathedral over there. You owe it to yourself to get over there to a service, and you owe it to yourself to see that magnificent cathedral and those stained glass renderings of the American martyrs for freedom. Sending you much love, Pastor Hatch.
Amen and amen.
Amen and amen. Amen. Everybody, we're going to bring up Dr. Shanina Knighton. Of course, she's the executive director of the Association for Professionals in Infection Control and Epidemiology. It's a tremendous, tremendous organization, and she is guiding them as we get through this pandemic and just a rise in infections in many places. Dr. Knighton, are you there? I knew you're getting your children ready for school this morning.
I am. That's the case every morning, right? So yes, I am. So how are you this morning?
I am doing well. I'm going to just keep you just for a few minutes, but I have a question for you, because you have constantly warned us that that there is more than COVID out here. And then, as we look at monkeypox and find out that it's spread through intimate contact, I also have come across, and I've been hearing about STIs, sexually transmitted infections, that they too are on the rise. Is there anything that we could do to protect ourselves? in those intimate spaces, Dr. Knighton?
So I think one of the things, so it's interesting that we're talking about this topic, and I'm not going to go too much in detail, but I do think it is something that deserves attention. And that's the fact that, like, when we talk about sexually transmitted infections, it's doubled for older adults. So we're talking about adults that are 65 years and older. Sexually transmitted infections have more than doubled in the past 10 years in the United States. And it's crazy because the rates of syphilis have increased tremendously, along with chlamydia, gonorrhea, and some other, infections, unfortunately, in this age group. And when you look at that, a lot of the reasons that happens is because of misconceptions regarding stigma. So that's another thing. So believe it or not, because the population is older, they're very likely to have conversations surrounding topics when it comes to safe sex behaviors, but they're also likely to practice unhealthy sexual practices, believe it or not, that would absolutely put them at risk. And so it's not along the lines of, like, let's say preparing for COVID or anything else, but these are still infections, and these infections are still transmittable. And it's something that people just don't tend to think about. So it's either older or younger. And it's not to say that people don't get it in between, but I know some of the populations that have shocked me per se, and it shows that there is there can be no bias about this topic is the younger population. So, for example, I think I brought up some time ago, Santita, that in Cleveland, Ohio, our sexually transmission rate among children 10 to 13 years old is like 10 times the national average. And you would say, oh my gosh, like these are babies, right? And it's similar when we talk about older adults as well. So it's heavily affecting like older groups as well as younger groups, because it's assumed that people are too old to educate them, or it's assuming that they're too young to be educated. And people make the assumption that because they are, of a certain age, that there's a level of knowledge that they need or that they don't need. And two, with our schools, I don't know if you recognize this, but like as funding get cut, they actually cut health education programs first. And so I'm sure that when we think about a lot of the preventative money that has been cut, that actually goes into this equation too, of why it is such a problem.
Well, I think that's why it's, we have to be very, very careful at this time, because we're not investing enough in health. And we're certainly not investing enough in infection prevention, helping us to understand how we can stay healthy, particularly at this time of year as people are unmasked, and people are, COVID is real, but so is the flu. Who wants the flu? I mean, all these things are very real. Please be careful out there, everybody. Dr. Knighton, of course. Hey, Dr. Nina. Hey, Dr. Nina. That's her handle. You should go on and follow her on Instagram, on Twitter, every place, because I'm telling you, she goes right to it and helps you to understand just how to stay healthy and how to stay well. Let's talk about Liz Cheney, everybody. Liz Cheney, that's right, the vice chair of the January 6th committee. She says, look, I'll campaign for Democrats. I'll do everything I can to keep Trump out of the White House again. I don't want him there. And I'll even leave the party. But leave the party and do what? She voted with Trump 93% of the time. So this is clearly not political, it's personal. And one cannot help but remember the Brooks Brothers riots of 2000 and 2001, when her father and George Bush, that is how they got into office, by stopping the vote and by having the Supreme Court intervene and stop the election, even though ultimately Al Gore won that. Now, that was anti-democratic, too. Talk to me, everybody. 773-763-9278. I want to know what you think. Is this personal or political? And should she become a Democrat? No, she should not become a Democrat, because what she would do is come in and the right-wing Democrats would embrace her and try and move the party to the right, which is where they want to go anyway. No. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a few minutes. How you doing, Dr. Knighton? How those babies?
Pretty good. We just got out the house.
Ooh, bless your heart. Bless your heart. Bless your
Got out
heart.
the house.
Bless your heart. How's your nephew doing?
He's okay. I actually reached out to his mom this morning.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just sending you a lot of love and prayers. Everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know.
Thank you. Yes, and I'm actually, it's crazy because my schedule is nuts, so I've been trying to provide her with a break. But that's been challenging.
Bless your girl. Look, like I said, take care of yourself. Okay. Whatever you do, take care of yourself. That is something that I am seeing that is so important. You got to take good care of yourself. That is, honey, that is where your girl is these days. I actually got some sleep yesterday. I was so exhausted. So exhausted. And I slept off and on throughout the afternoon. I was so tired. And I said, okay, there's a benefit to getting some sleep. So sleep hygiene. Thank you very much. Okay. Hey, Mildred, watching from the south side of Chicago. Well, and that's in the broadcast is coming from the south side. Where are you on the south side? No addresses, but Roseland, South Shore, Hyde Park, near South Side. Where are you, girl? Hey, Paula, how you doing? Oh, bless your heart. Paula, this hair is high maintenance. I got to get up. Well, I'm already up, and I'm going to do that anyway, but it is just, sometimes I wear rollers, sometimes I don't, and it's a lot. I'd forgotten. I used to wear my hair down occasionally in college, occasionally, but it takes work. Goodness gracious, it takes work, and that drives me crazy. Oh, yes, and I'm glad I slept too. Drives me crazy. So you gonna listen to us for a little bit, Dr. Knighton?
Yeah, I'm gonna listen in.
Okay. Okay, very good.
All right, sending Attorney Dale Jones, Dwight McKee, Attorney Hoffler, and Attorney Patillo through.
Fantastic. Alrighty. And you know what? You want to open up with after I do the quick hit with, is Chaparral there?
Oh, thank you. I forgot about Chaparral.
Well,
60 seconds.
You know what? Let's do her at the end of the segment, okay?
End of the hour? Okay, I'll make a note.
And then you can just come in with the Liz Cheney now.
Sure, so play the music, then come into Liz Cheney, or Liz Cheney, then the music?
The music and then Liz Cheney.
Okay, music, Liz Cheney, you. Got it.
Perfect. Thank you. I can't iron it a lot though, Paula, because it breaks my hair down. So ironing, my hair cannot take a lot of heat because it's really fine and it breaks down very easily. So I'm really careful. Rollers, I can flat iron it once a week at the most, but that's too much for me too. So I'm just kind of stuck in no man's land, as my mother says. Just I deal with, I do wet sets.
10 seconds to Liz Cheney.
Okay. Stand by, everybody. Stand by.
I think that Donald Trump he's the only president in American history who refused to guarantee a peaceful transition of power. And so now, the fact that my party has refused in the months since then to stand up to him, I think does tell you how sick the party is. I'm going to make sure Donald Trump, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he's not the nominee. And if he is the nominee, I won't be a Republican.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. Yes, we can. We We can change the world. We can change the world. Change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love. It's not too late. Gotta save the children. We can't wait. Let's change the world. I am green.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. Let's talk today, everybody. At the top of the hour, we're going to be talking about Virginia Thomas, or as they call her now, Jenny Thomas, to make her sound, I guess, less threatening or less serious. Virginia Thomas is a very serious person and a powerful voice in the conservative movement in this country. But right now, let's talk about another powerful voice in the conservative movement in this country, someone who has stepped out against former President Trump. And let's talk about Liz Cheney, who said that I'm going to do everything I can to keep Donald Trump out of the White House again. And yes, I will leave the party if he's a nominee. Yes, I will campaign for Democrats. And campaign for Democrats and say what? She voted for President Trump, then President Trump. She voted with him 93% of her congressional career, 93%. They don't have political disagreements. They have personal ones. Remember, Donald Trump wiped out the Republican establishment, the Bushes, which is Cheney. I mean, he wiped them out. So this is real personal with everybody. This is not political. So I want to know just what she would be doing. Would she become a Democrat? I hope not. But the right-wing Democrats would embrace her and they would bend over backwards to bend the party to the right to please her. No, she needs to stay inside of her party, in my opinion, and fight the good fight. Please, we've taken a lot of hits. When Reverend walked out of when we left the conventions in San Francisco and in Atlanta, he wasn't the nominee. And quite frankly, we were not treated nicely. But we stayed in the party and fought to try and make things better. And things have gotten better. Are they where they ought to be? No. Are they where they were? Absolutely not. There was a winner-take-all system when Reverend Jackson started running. And you did not have blacks anywhere, including cleaning the DNC headquarters. Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but they didn't have contracts to be vendors and all of that. No. Things have changed a whole lot. So when we say things have not changed, that is unfair to the people who have fought and who've made the changes that you now enjoy. So I think she should stay in her party and work it out. But I've got a tremendous panel who have their own opinions about this woman who said, I am out of here if he is the nominee. Of course, Dr. D. Dwight McKee, we cannot wait to hear from you. Attorney Darrell Jones, the chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition. Catch him on WOL every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Attorney C.K. Hoffler, legal analyst on Court TV, chair of Rainbow Push, and host of her own show on WAOK at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. And of course, she is here, legal Q&A with CK every Wednesday from 7 to 8 Central Standard Time. And let me start off with you, Attorney Robert Patillo, who's about to have this big debate, the Black conservatives versus the Black progressives. Oh my gosh. And of course, he's the Southeastern Regional Director of Rainbow Push, has his own show on WAOK from 1 to 4 every Sunday. Attorney Patillo, your thoughts about Liz Cheney? She says she's going to leave the party. She says she's going to even campaign for Democrats. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a lot of sour grapes, and frankly, I agree with you when I say that these right-wing polling voices in the Democratic Party, this is the fool's gold of elections. They put it out there, and they really make these people think that you're going to get suburban white soccer moms to come back to the Democratic Party. You're going to get those truck drivers from the Rust Belt to come back to the party. And it's all fool's gold. Culturally, those people have shifted so far to the right that this is no longer the electorate of 1988 or the electorate of 1992, that you have to solidify and go back to your base, to continue to deliver for African Americans, to deliver for young people, to deliver for women, to deliver for the people who got you here. But instead, they always try to tack the party further to the right, alienating the people who actually want to vote for you, and instead going after the Joe Manchin and Christian cinemas of the world. They cannot get over the idea and the fact that this is not the Democratic Party electorate anymore.
C.K. Hoffler, your thoughts? She said she'd even come and campaign for Democrats.
Yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. That's what I say to that. I say that we don't need, as Democrats, we don't need to get sidetracked. We don't need to focus on what Liz Cheney is doing. Let the Republican Party self-destruct. They have someone who's likely going to be indicted, who is going to run for president. Let that play itself out and work within the party if they so feel inclined to try to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. That should not stop the Democrats from coalescing and doing what they have to do. They have a lot of work to do within the country and in the communities, with the activist community, with those progressives. Our party is not united. So as opposed to worrying about what Liz Cheney's going to do and what this one's going to do, what they say they're going to do, I mean, personal problems are not ideological problems. And at the end of the day, she, like others, will likely vote for those who are aligned to the Republican Party. We don't need to be concerned about. We need to get our own house in order. Win the Senate race in Georgia. Win the gubernatorial race in Georgia. Win the race in Kentucky. Win in all of these places so that we can make a difference in our communities. That's what we need to be about the business of doing. Yes, we note what she's saying, and I applaud her for her courage, but we need to focus on our own home, which is in a state of disarray.
Attorney Darrell Jones.
Yeah, good morning. And, I guess I'm going to join the choir of what's being sung here. The whole thing is, when you come to party politics, you got to dance with the one that brought you. And, and what's brought the Democratic Party up to this point to where we are has been black voters, has been young voters. And so that's got to be your concentration. You go to your base. You go to the one that brought you to the point of success of where you are right now. And I think that's got to be the focus. I understand completely the whole Liz Cheney movement, if you will. And, I think that that cannot be the focus. You've got to stay focused. You cannot be distracted by the shiny objects on the side of the road because you're going to run into a wall. You need to stay focused. And I think that's where I fall on this. I certainly applaud Liz Cheney with regards to the position she has taken with regards to the investigation into Donald Trump. I also, to an extent, understand that her dad, Dick Cheney, was telling her to go and save the republic. And that's what she's out to do.
Wait a minute. He broke it. He was part of the breaking of it in 2000. I mean, are you serious? Don't you remember the Brooks Brothers riots? That was the January 6th of 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. No. I got it. I understand that completely. And, telling her to go and save the republic that obviously he was tearing down at one point in time.
Yeah.
That,
1 million Iraqis are dead. Thank you. I mean, his chief of staff exposed one of our spies, making her vulnerable and everyone with whom she had contact. Valerie Plame. I mean, really?
And let's not forget the weapons of mass destruction concept, because all of that comes out of there.
Yeah.
All of that comes out of there. So, it's all there. But, again, we've got to be certain that we're not focusing on, the smoke and mirrors that's going on over there, trying to figure out what they're going to do with regards to if former President Trump becomes their nominee. Our concentration certainly has to be on getting folks out to vote to support the candidate that we think is best in this position.
Dwight McKee, your thoughts about this? I mean, she voted with then President Trump 93% of her professional career. And I saw that in Newsweek. And then I saw a USA Today article that said, well, she didn't vote with him 100% of the time. I said, no one ever said that. And they were trying to kind of put perfume on this. I said, no, this kind of smells like right wing. That's what it is. That's who she is.
Well, I think Liz Cheney should be our example. We're the only ones that make party a religion. White people, parties are means to an end. They first have an objective and then they choose a party. We choose a party and the party becomes our objective. And so if we don't learn how to leverage politics, Donald Trump was a Democrat before he was a Republican. Hillary Clinton and her husband went to his wedding. For them, politics is not sacred, and party is not sacred as it is for us. It is based on your self-interest and the self-interest of those you represent, your people, your constituency, your family ties, those people that have things in common with you who are looking for a common objective. And so the fact that she is leveraging her position is in her best interest, because Trump is pretty much taken the legacy Republican Party out. The legacy party, that is, when those couple of families ran the party, he's taken them out of the loop. And so what she'll do, and you have to applaud her for that, is she'll come into the Democratic Party, become the new Manchin, and have a whole nother power base. And, some will be mad at her and some won't be mad at her. But she's dealing in power politics as opposed to emotional politics. So I think we have to study how she plays that and utilize that lesson to our interest.
Because, she made these comments at the Texas Tribune Festival. The Texas Tribune's newspaper, I really love it, comes out of Texas, and it has a very progressive bent. And so I thought it was interesting that she had the space to go to that festival and speak to an audience that was very friendly toward her and they enthusiastically received her. Let me go to Jim from Chicago. Jim, what's on your mind?
Good morning. Good morning, Santita.
Good morning.
Yes. The general welfare should be decided by the voters. That should be the sacrosanct of the United States, not judges. Judges shouldn't determine our outcome. They have no right to do that. Their job is to judge the facts and be blind on the bench and do it. But we know that Leonard Leo, with his money, has put the Supreme Court up. They took away our election in 2000. They gave it to Scalia, gave it exclusively to Bush, and Bush was probably the worst president we ever had. And we can't continue this way. We can't let a couple of judges determine the general welfare for the United States. It has to stop. Anyway, you guys have a good morning. Thank you.
Oh, blessings to you. Blessings to you. I mean, what about, where is this going? I mean, Robert, could you see her becoming a Democrat and swinging the party to the right? I certainly could. Robert, are you there?
Says he's still there.
Okay, well, let me go to you, CK. I mean, because I could see that happening, and I could see everyone jumping all over her. I mean, because she's opening her words are opening the corporate news today, and everybody's jumping all over each other about her courage. And I appreciate what she's doing, but I tend to agree with Dwight. This is politics. This is power, and she has the space to move all over the chessboard, not checkers, the chessboard, right? And I'm just saying, okay, you're gonna campaign for Democrats and say what? You agree with the right wing agenda, and you voted for it 93% of your congressional career. What are you going to come to me and say, CK? What?
Blah, blah, blah. So, Santita, I'm still back on the blah, blah, blah. Whatever Liz Cheney does, that shouldn't affect our agenda. I mean, I think that's the problem. There are many Republicans, and by the way, there are growing numbers of African Americans that are defecting to the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. So she may have some secret sauce to attract, conservative Democrats and to keep them in the party, independents. That's great, but we cannot count on Elizabeth Cheney to do the business of the Democratic Party. That's the reality.
I agree. I see them kind of moving in that direction, and that makes me really wary, Daryl. I'm like, well, what are y'all doing? 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. At the top of the hour, what to do about Virginia Thomas, who they're calling Jenny now. It kind of softens her up a little bit. But let's talk about Liz Cheney right now. Voted with President Trump 93% of her congressional career. What's the deal? And no one is asking her, Daryl. Well, you don't have any, no one's putting out there. You have no political disagreements with him. There really is not. I mean, don't give me this thing about democracy. Your father and Bush tore it up in 2000. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. It turns out Gore won the election in terms of the popular vote, and he ended up winning Florida. So does she talk about that? No. I mean, what are we talking about, Daryl? What are we talking about here?
But Santita, part of it has got to be that when and Dwight certainly, I think, speaks to it. Hopefully, part of it has got to be that when you're in the political throes of it, you're doing the political strategy behind it. A large part, I think, of what happens is that those that may be encouraging Liz Cheney to come over to the Democratic side and to push for Democratic candidates and to focus on making the Democratic Party more moderate, more conservative. Their analysis would go for the progressive and left wing of the Democratic Party. They would say, well, they're not going anywhere. Where are they going to go? Are they going to leave us and go to the conservative side? No. This way we can try to broaden our pie and broaden our influence in terms of trying to get a greater reach and get candidates voted in and perhaps pull in independents, because it's really independents that determine elections. If people vote down party lines, it's going to be the independents that make that determination. So I think that's part of the strategy behind why some folks are trying to push this Liz Cheney concept. Unfortunately, the whole argument has always gone that we really don't have permanent enemies or permanent friends, right? Just permanent interests. Mm-hmm. And the question becomes, is this part of that permanent interest? Because if it's not, then you're really going to inflame the progressive part of the party that has gotten you to the point of where you are right now. And I just don't know if it's worth it to try to destroy what is so fragilely put together at this point in time in terms of that Democratic Party. I mean, I don't see it. But I understand the philosophy on why they're trying to reach out to her.
But you know what? Let me tell you this. I remember when they formed the DLC, and that was Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Senator Sam Nunn from Georgia, Chuck Robb, the senator from Virginia, Al Fromm. These were all the right-wing Democrats who were horrified by the 2.5 million voters Reverend brought into the party in 1983 and 1984. And in their founding documents, they said, if we are not successful in basically in thwarting the efforts of Jesse Jackson and the 2.5 million voters he's brought into the party, no one has registered as many voters in the history of the United States, in the history of the Republic, as Reverend Jesse Jackson. They said and that was just in that cycle, if he is successful in making space in this party for these voices, we will leave and become Republicans. They were the blue dog Democrats, Dwight. That's what they still are. And they overtook the party with black folks' help.
Santita.
Yeah.
Santita.
Yes.
This is not a conversion. She got run out of
her party.
She's looking for a place to land.
Wait. Would you wait. Stop, Dwight. Would you please make it plain that the establishment, her wing of the party, was defeated in 2016? Huh, Dwight?
And so she's looking for another nest to land in. She's looking for another power base. And if the Democrats, that's why I say that we are so obsessed with party, is willing to embrace her just because she has declared herself to become a Democrat, with no qualifications, with no prerequisite, with no expectations, just, hey, wow, she's another Democrat. Is that like she's converted from, one religion to another, then it really shows how vulnerable and foolish we are. Because what she would do, as you said, and I totally agree with your analysis, she'll come in and she will become Manson number 2 and make the party bow down to her demands, pull the party further to the right. And all of the epithets of Bernie and the progressives will be neutralized because now you have a closet Republican with power who is leveraging the real Democrats and the progressives in their own best interest. And so I think we have to become, again, more strategic than that and understand that for them, that party is a means to an end. For us, party is a religion. We have to grow past that.
It's not about the party, everybody. It's about the people. I mean, and I think that, CK, we need to be very real about that because I'm telling you, I see this choo-choo train coming. I see it coming. And it is insulting to me, to those of us who have worked in the vineyards, who have worked to register voters, who have tried to push to make this country what it's supposed to be. It is insulting for the corporate media, CK, not to mention what happened in 2000. It is insulting for them not to talk about the January 6th riots of 2000. That's what that was. These people tore Florida up. Dwight?
Because the first thing they're going to do to start trying to woo her and she's going to get to negotiate is if she converts, what committees is she going to be on?
Wait a minute. I told you she spoke from the Texas Tribune event. The Texas Tribune is a hard left paper. I'm like, what was she doing there? Well,
and so once they begin to negotiate with her in terms of her committees and her chairs and her vice chairs, then she will have control of Democratic agenda, but she will pull the whole agenda to the right. And that's why I said we, in many ways, are so unthinking. And we just so happen to have another Democrat. In our minds, we're saying, oh, that gives us more than majority. Yeah, it does give us more of a majority, but it also shifts the agenda to the right. Because now we have to go through her to realize our goals and our agenda. We have to really, I think, be more thoughtful and less emotional. I keep saying that, but I just see us getting swept up. As you said, Clinton and them threatened to become Republicans if they didn't get their way. They ain't locked in the party.
At all. I mean, I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at black folks who become Republicans. Do what you want to do. All I ask is that when you go over there, you make the argument for the least of these. That's what I'm asking you to do. I'll give this to Omarosa. When she got to the Trump White House, she said, what I want to do is bring the HBCU office back into the White House, which was moved during the previous administration. It was moved out of the White House, which means it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I'll give her credit for that. That's what you're supposed to do. This is politics, everybody. This is not a date, it's a destination. This ain't about love, darling. That's not what this is. This is about power. This is about allocation of resources. Attorney C.K. Hoffler, I've got less than a minute. You're going to be on Court TV this week. She dropped. Oh, she left. Well, you know what? Check out Court TV this week because, of course, Attorney C.K. Hoffler will be there, and she will be on WAOK tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and of course on WOL in Washington, D.C., but you can hear it everywhere. Attorney Daryl Jones will be on with Attorney Barbara Arnwine on their great show. All right, everybody, let's talk about Virginia Thomas. Everyone's calling her Jenny. Oh, love you, Jenny. She's Virginia Thomas, everybody. We don't need to use the diminutive of her name. This is Virginia Thomas. She's a very powerful woman. She's the wife of the most influential justice on the Supreme Court right now, and she was trying to overturn the 2020 election. She's about to testify before the January 6th committee. What do you think about that? 773-763-9278. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a minute. Thank you, guys. Stay right there. But keep on talking, because you know we're on Facebook Live, and I have to wish my baby brother Yusuf happy birthday. I remember the day he was born. I sure do. I woke up and I went to my parents' bedroom and my mother was not there. Dwight, I was sick all day long. And my father said, baby, don't worry. Well, when he got home, he said, don't worry, Mom's just had a baby. We have a newborn. I was like, but I want my mommy home. I want my mom. Honest to heavens, I wanted my mama to hurry up and come home. You know, my father at that time was starting to be on the road a lot.
Sending Attorney Connolly through.
But what I could not, we couldn't fathom our mother not being at home. I tell you that right now. Call it what you will. And Paula, you said Omarosa, and you remember her? Yeah. I mean, look, people are going to be in whatever party they're going to be in. I'm not here to make that argument with anybody. I'm not here to make that argument. No, because I know people are nuanced in their political beliefs. Yeah. And I respect that. I mean, I really do. I think that, you should believe what you believe. But I think that your principles ought to be driving. I think that your principles should shape your beliefs, and your beliefs should not be conformed. I think that's what I think you need to do. Your principles should shape your beliefs, period. And, we have to get real about that. So if you're going to be a Republican, and particularly a black one, we had Lincoln Republicans, and they led our movement up until the mid 60s. I'm not mad about that. I think of Gloria Toote. I think of Art Fletcher, who President Nixon put on the road to put black people in business. You remember that, Dwight? You remember when he came to our push meeting and we honored him? Remember that?
Black capitalism.
He put black people, whatever their party affiliation, in business. Did he not, Dwight?
He was a father of black capitalism.
Okay. Big Republican. Lincoln Republican, but a big Republican. And he was looking for black folks who were trying to be in business, who were qualified to be in business, who did not have access to capital. And he went all around the country dispensing money during the Nixon administration. And we were no fan of Nixon, but I tell you what, we appreciated that. So, Daryl, that's, and I don't know if Robert is still there. That's the name of the game.
I'm still here.
Okay, Robert, that's the name of the game. This is power. Give me my resources.
Well, the first day of political science class in college, they tell you that politics answers the question of who gets what when. And at the end of the day, when you have interest groups, whether they be racial, social, economic, political ideology, they're going to do what gets them the most power at the end of the day. Just kind of relating it back to the Liz Cheney story, it's not as if they even, it's not that they're going to change their stripes all of a sudden. It's going to simply be a way to find new ways to remain empowered, to remain relevant in American politics. And that's not going to be in the best interest of the rest of us. We talk about building democracies around the world and sham elections in the Donbass region and all these things, but we still have not figured out how to properly create a political system here that actually does something at all for the people in the most parts of the economy who are simply trying to get by on a day-to-day basis, while the corrupt people at the top continue to propagate power and influence regardless of the administration, regardless of the election. The rich stay rich, and we have to find a way to spread that around to the rest of the American people.
Daryl, Dwight, you all have any follow-up comment before we get Erin on here? Because she wants to tear Jenny Thomas up. That's what she said. That was the text she sent to me. She said, oh, are you there, Erin? Shame on you.
I'm here. I didn't say her up. I said I always like to talk about Miss Virginia and her potential crime.
I know. The potential criminal. Okay, girl. I'm with it. I'm here for you. I'm here for it. Her potential crimes. Oh, what am I going to do with Aaron? How's my little baby doing?
He's great. He's great. We're in Pennsylvania right now, canvassing for Summer Lee and John Fetterman. It was my birthday yesterday, so we're with my mom, and he's having a great time with his grandma.
Oh, happy birthday, Aaron. Oh, you and my brother Yusuf and my sister Jackie. Wait a minute. Yusuf is today. Jackie is 2 days from now.
Libra? Uh-huh.
Oh,
okay.
yes. And Daddy, no.
Sending Attorney Jones back through.
Balance. I get it. I get it.
Of course.
I get it. Everybody wish Aaron a happy birthday. Y'all. You still with us, Attorney Jones?
Last year of my 30s. I'm going to make it a good one.
Oh, honey, I'm about to cross another Rubicon next year. Bless your heart. And I'm glad about it.
The important thing is we are still here, right?
Look,
60 seconds, everyone.
Honey, I want to be here and I want to look fabulous while I am here. When I'm in that casket, should I have one that's open, I'll look plastinated. Please. You think I'm not going to look and try my best to look great until I get out of here? I'm going to do my best. My best. Wow. They're warning that this recession is going to be awful. You do know that, right? Wow. This is not good. This is not good. Not good. All right, everybody. Okay, everybody, we're going to come right to it, okay? Oops. Let me get that.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. It's Monday, September 26, 2022, coming to you from WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station. I'm Santita Jackson, coming to you from AM 950 Radio. Hey, Matt, up there in Minneapolis, St. Paul, sending you much love today. Everybody, it's Aaron's birthday was yesterday. Aaron Connolly, love you, girl. Everybody, happy birthday, Aaron. Happy birthday, Attorney Aaron Connolly. That's right. She's joining us right now, celebrating her birthday while she is campaigning in Pennsylvania for Fetterman and all of these great progressives. Boy, we love you and congratulations on your birthday. Last day of her 30s. Ain't that nothing? That was a long time ago for me, but that's all right. And then happy birthday to my baby brother, Yusuf. Happy birthday, Yusuf. Yay. Happy birthday. Got to send him so much love today. Between him, his wife and them 5 kids and my parents and everybody else. Happy birthday, sweetie. All right, everybody. Let's get to the topic at hand. Virginia Thomas. Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. We will, Anita, I'm going to come to you from North Carolina because you want to weigh in on Liz Cheney as well, who said that she'd even campaign for Democrats. I don't know what you'd say. She voted with President Trump 93% of the time, but she said, I'll do anything I can to prevent President Trump from getting back in office. Okay, then get an anti-Trump party, but don't come over here. That's not exciting to me, but call me, 773-763-9278. Chicago, we're going to have a high of 64 degrees, partly cloudy. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 63 degrees, partly cloudy. Everybody, the fall, the autumn is here. White Sox, well, they fell to the Tigers. The Tigers 4, the White Sox 1. The Cubs 8, the Pirates 3. And the Angels 10, the Twins 3. In the NFL, well, we both won out, everybody. Minneapolis and Chicago. The Chicago Bears 23-20 over the Texans. The Vikings 28-24 over the Lions. And again, happy birthday, Aaron, and happy birthday, Yusuf. Hurricane. Well, it's the season, and Florida is bracing as Ian is gathering strength. If a hurricane is headed your way, don't panic. They're saying there are many steps that you can take. Please reach out to the proper authorities and find out if you're going to leave, and if you can't leave, what it is that you need to do. A hurricane watch has been issued for the west coast of Florida as Hurricane Ian threatens to soon arrive, packing powerful winds and dangerous storm surges. According to the National Hurricane Center, Ian grew to hurricane strength this morning with winds of 75 miles per hour and even higher wind gusts. God bless the people of Florida and Canada, as many homes were swept into the sea. Wow, 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 wow. Russian President Vladimir Putin's threat of using nuclear weapons in his invasion of Ukraine, quote, could be a reality, according to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. He said, I don't think he's bluffing. What do you think is going to happen, everybody? Zelensky's comments come days after Putin raised the specter of nuclear war during an address last week. A NASA spacecraft will deliberately slam into an asteroid today to determine if this kind of mission can help deflect space objects posing a threat to Earth. The NASA Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, aims to make history today at 7:14 p.m. Eastern Time when it makes impact with the asteroid. We will see what's going to happen. And it's going to be a cold winter, everybody, and many Americans are bracing for the cold reality that they will have to shell out, that we will all have to shell out much more money, 17.2% more to stay warm this winter. Indeed, we have, according to the National Energy Assistant Directors Association, the 2-year hike is up, sends our energy costs up by 35%. Georgia Maloney has claimed victory in a general election that seems to install her as Italy's first female prime minister, leading the most far-right government, everybody, since the fall of Benito Mussolini. And those are some of the headlines. But you know what? Carl Icahn did say this: the worst is yet to come for the U.S. economy. Wow, 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 wow. What does that mean? They say that this recession is going to be a really harsh one. Can't wait to talk about that. Everybody, what about, well, before I go to the calls, before I go to my panel as we talk about Jenny Thomas, let me go to you, Anita from North Carolina. Anita, very quickly, what's your question or comment about, well, I'm sure you have a comment about Liz Cheney. What's on your mind, sweetie?
Morning.
Good morning.
About the civil rights movement and the nonviolent approach. Remember, Dick Cheney and Bush and all of that is violence and conquering and tearing up things in the world. No history. Nobody can trace anything. We can't have that happening. And I'm finding out, Santita, being in this Confederate situation here in North Carolina, that white women feel entitled. They can just walk in wherever African Americans are or American Indians and just take over and say, I'm white and I want my power. And we just allow it to happen. So it's happening in the communities where the white women that are on crack cocaine have Section 8, and they're controlling the drugs here. When the men get out of prison, they're giving men drugs and bad drugs and killing them. To Liz Cheney, it's the same thing. They want dominance. They want the money that I guess the white men had, and now they're taking over our neighborhoods and what we running and saying, I'm white, I know more than you. I can do this. And that's all I see, and it's not important. And if people learn to ignore them and stop thinking they're going to give you money that they stole from you, then maybe we could get something done. And Reverend Jackson has the nonviolent approach, and they're mean to his children. They were mean to my congressman. You know, they wanted him out of office because he was going to help the South suburban side of Chicago, and they got rid of him. They want violence. They do not want anyone in there that represents nonviolence. So if the Democrats could start being violent, Santita, what are we going to do?
Well, you know what? I think that they shouldn't. And I will say this. You can't say that about all white women. All white women do not buy into this white supremacist agenda, just like all black folks are not freedom fighters. Hello. Okay. So, but I'm hearing you. We're seeing people really pushing for supremacy and privilege at this time. And, you know, we're watching these populist movements pop up. It's interesting. They're to the right in Europe, but they're to the left in the global South and in this hemisphere. It's it's very, very interesting. Well, certainly in the global South, like in Brazil and Argentina and But I'm hearing you, and I want you to call us at 773-763-9278, WCPT. Let's go to Virginia Thomas. She is set to meet with the January 6th committee. They have reached an agreement with Virginia, also known as Jenny Thomas. That's her diminutive nickname. She's Virginia Thomas, everybody. The wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and she's to be interviewed by the panel in coming weeks. What will she say? What will she say? What is there to say? Now, Justice Stephen Breyer, for his portion, is defending her. And you know, he's no conservative, but he said she has the right to pursue her political activism. And I quote, "I don't go through that in that I strongly believe that women who are wives, including wives of Supreme Court justices, have to make the decisions about how to lead their lives, careers, and what kind of career for themselves. I'm not going to criticize Jenny Thomas, whom I like. I'm not going to criticize Clarence, whom I like. And there we are." That's his colleague. But what say you, everybody? I mean, she reached out to the White House and was apparently working with the White House trying to overturn the election. The chief of staff of the President of the United States, she was at the January 6th rally, not at the riot. What do you think? And this at a time in which we now have what they call the Thomas Court. After biding his time, now, according to this report from The Guardian, the right-wing justice has found his power. He knows the loneliness, this writer writes, David Smith, the Washington bureau chief for The Guardian. He knows the loneliness of the long-distance runner and the rewards. So there you go. What do you think, everybody? Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. You do know she called Wisconsin lawmakers. She called Arizona lawmakers. She called who only heaven knows who else about overturning the election in 2020. What do you think about that? What should happen? We have a tremendous panel, and we've got Attorney Aaron Connolly, we've got Attorney Robert Patillo, we've got Attorney Darrell Jones, we've got Dwight McKee. Let me start with you, Aaron Connolly. Your thoughts. Virginia Thomas, Jenny. What should we do about Jenny?
Well, we've been talking about Ms. Virginia Thomas and her role in the January 6th rally and riots for quite a while. And it's taken this long to even have the conversation about her providing testimony to the January 6th committee. So let's start with what we know about Virginia Thomas, right? She has exchanged text messages with President Trump's lawyer, who in his testimony pleaded the Fifth Amendment over 100 times. She exchanged text messages with Mark Meadows relating to leading up to the January 6th riots. There is some dispute about how she was involved in the planning of this event in the first place. A group that she worked with apparently was in charge of mediating some of these other factions that were organizing this rally. I think that is going to be a key piece of information, whether or not her organization or she herself provided any monetary funds for the planning and execution of this event that, of course, turned deadly and was responsible for the deaths of Capitol police officers, that threatened the lives of our lawmakers, and really provided the first actual attack on our Capitol in many years, right? So we're not talking about normal political activism, as you mentioned, Justice Breyer's remarks. Jenny Thomas is not just going out canvassing for candidates or having luncheons for conservative candidates here. What she is accused of is actually aiding this insurrection attempt at our nation's capital. She is in a position of power, and while she, yes, is entitled to her own beliefs, there is a level of influence and power that she has that requires her, I believe, to act in a different manner. The question is now, what influence and role did her husband, a sitting Supreme Court justice who is supposed to be a neutral party in deciding these cases, should he have to recuse himself from some of the potential cases arising from the January 6th insurrection? Her own public Facebook posts are in her own words, supporting MAGA Republicans. That is verbatim what she wrote. And the journalists have screenshots of these now deleted Facebook posts leading up and during the January 6th rally. I do want to point out it was before the violence started, but we all know what that rally was supposed to do and how that ended up. There is incitement. There is a participation beyond just an attendance here. So these are just some of the things that Ginny Thomas will have to answer for when she does meet with the committee. The issue is it seems she is also getting special treatment or different treatment than many others who have had to provide testimony to the committee. And it will be interesting to see how that plays out and what the public has access to. We already have a low confidence in our government. Nationally, Americans don't trust our government. This further erodes the confidence that we have in our Supreme Court that they can be a neutral arbiter of these important constitutional issues. And I believe that Justice Clarence Thomas should recuse himself from any cases that have anything to do with this issue, simply because, they are married. If she is found to be providing funds and support for insurrectionists, that should be enough to make Clarence Thomas recuse himself from these cases. This is a messy, messy situation. This is why we have not traditionally seen spouses of Supreme Court justices take stands like this. It is not something that has been done. She is pushing the limits of what is appropriate and proper, and now we will see if she's pushing the limits of what is legal.
Attorney Darrell Jones, your thoughts?
I think first, happy birthday, Aaron, and to you, Seth. But
thank you.
Part of what Aaron was saying is true, and one of the things that we look at when we look at judges, whether it's in the state court or the federal court, is that we expect them to be above reproach, and if there is even an appearance of an impropriety, we don't want them sitting in judgment, because we want them to be beyond that. We as the citizens, have more faith when we know that our justices are sitting independently and are not being swayed or influenced by impermissible things. And I think that part of what we see happening with Attorney Virginia Thomas is that, she and her husband, as she has proclaimed, are partnership, right? They're best friends. They'll discuss everything together. We know from the text messages that she's talking about, the influence that she has, that they have a friend that they can push and try to influence with regards to all of the January 6th things that were going on. So, it does erode at the very fabric of integrity, the very fabric of the belief of the American people and the faith they have in the Supreme Court and in our governmental system in general. So it's a major concern. It's an extreme concern. And, I can just imagine that, had this been someone other than Virginia Thomas, who was more progressive and a person of color, that I don't think that we would be having this conversation. We see all kinds of actions that are going forward against that individual. So, with all of that being said, I believe that, what has to happen at this point, once she gets in front of that committee, all gloves should come off and they need to really go hard. And the real question, one of the other questions, Santita, is going to be posed is, are they going to go after her law license? Because if, in fact, she was pushing this false narrative on the electors, then certainly that should be on the table as well. I just think that all hands need to be on deck, and they need to really, if we are to hold the Supreme Court in the light that we have traditionally held that court, there's a lot of work and a lot of accountability that now has to occur. I agree with Aaron as well that Justice Thomas should certainly remove himself from any proceedings regarding anything regarded to January 6th. That's without question.
He refuses to do it. It's just unbelievable. Robert, are you with us? I want to know if Robert Patillo is with us. If not, I'll just go right on over to Dwight. Dwight, What do you make of this? I mean, because Justice Thomas has refused to recuse himself from cases that are related to January 6th and that could touch upon his wife's work. He won't do it. And he's getting no pressure, true pressure to do it.
Well, people say that there's a conflict of interest, but to me, there is no conflict of interest. They have the same interest, which is for both of them is to maintain the status quo. You know, it's very confusing to me because people are upset with her for maintaining, her trying to leverage her opposition to be able to keep Republicans and powerful people in power. They're upset with her husband, who does the same thing from the court perspective. But the reason he's on the court in the first place is because Joe Biden really ran interference for him and put him there and neutralized Anita Hill and put him on the court in the first place. And we ain't mad at him. And that's why I keep saying that we have to understand that for these people, power is the end game. It's not party, it's not emotion, it's power. So you can't get mad. To me, you can't get upset with Clarence Thomas and then get upset with his wife and not get upset with Joe Biden, who put them there, because all of them have the same interest, that is sustaining and maintaining and expanding the status quo.
Why did you bring Joe Biden into this? I mean, do you think that
because he's the one that put Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court? Mm-hmm. If you remember, he was the head of the committee and running the hearings. And when Anita Hill came in and said that this guy is a molester and this guy violated me and this guy is perverse, Joe Biden shut her down and let the hearings go home and protected him to get him on the courts. You remember that, Santita?
Absolutely remember it. I do. It seems that I just think that we're the United States of amnesia. That's not unique to me because there's so much that I think that we choose to forget, depending upon who we like at the time, Daryl. And I think that if we do not have politics that are based in the highest and best principles, we're going to have a mess. I mean, for us not to mention, for no corporate employed journalist has asked Liz Cheney about 2000 and the Brooks Brothers riots and her father's role in it. And where does she stand on that? She just wants to look at January 6th. I'm like, no. I want to know where you stand on that, Daryl. Talk to me about that. Because, see, to me, there's a through line here. There was no difference between January 6th, 2021 and January of 2001. There's no difference. None. And so when I look at Virginia Thomas, I mean, they have given her pass after pass after pass after pass, Daryl. You know, as a judge, when you have a conflict of interest, and you know that as a judge, you're supposed to recuse yourself from cases, but the Supreme Court, they don't do that. And of course, we can't have cameras in the courtroom because they're sacrosanct. I think that's a mistake, Daryl. I've got 1 minute before we go to break. You need to open this thing all the way up so that we can see what's going on.
And I agree with you. You know, this is the time to really open it up and to look at reform. Because one thing that is really upsetting when it comes to the Supreme Court is that there is no entity to look at their behavior, determine what should happen as a result of conflict. Should they be recused of themselves from cases? Should they have to remove themselves from cases because of the conflict? There's no one that's overlooking them. There's no authority. There's no committee. There's no commission to look at them and say, you have a conflict here. You need to remove yourself and let the other remaining justices make a decision. That's one of the major issues that I think can be addressed as a result of what's going on here with Justice Thomas and Virginia Thomas and what the appropriate remedies are. We've got to look at remedies. We've identified the problem. We've seen it exasperated. We've seen it bother the American people, piss off the American people, if you will. Now it's time to figure out a remedy for it. And this is an opportunity opportune time to do that, Santita.
Call us at 773-763-9278. 773-763-9278. What do you think is going to happen with Mrs. Virginia Thomas? What do you think will happen with her? Will she keep her law license? Will her testimony be public? Will it be live or will it be taped? Will there be limitations on the questions that she's asked? What's going to happen? Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT, and let's talk about this, because this is a big deal, everybody. She's going to testify before the January 6th committee. What will she say? Back in just a minute on the Santita Jackson Show. They have let this woman float. Oh, okay. All right, sending you much love, Daryl. Oh, I didn't realize you had to go. I didn't see the text.
No worries.
Okay.
I was able to get in my car and transition.
Oh, you are good. But if you have to wrap your mind around your case, I understand that too. I really do.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. All right, sweetie. Have a good one.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, Dwight, call Yusuf today. It's his birthday.
I shall. So Santita?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I can wait on the show to come back on.
Oh, no, you don't have to. Go on. Keep talking. I'm sorry. I was trying to return a text. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, if you really want to talk about conflict of interest, I think that you should really look at, as we talk about this Liz Cheney thing, the conflict of interest between her daddy being the vice president and him being the head of
Halliburton. No.
Halliburton, and declaring an unjust war.
That they profited
that's
from?
A real conflict of interest.
That they profited from?
And she profited from.
Oh, okay.
That's a real conflict of interest to me. I think that, what's put in the bed is one thing, and we ought to deal with that. But if we're going to deal with maximum impact and when lives have been lost, we really need to look at the conflict of interest between
Cheney and
the head of Halliburton.
Put it out there. Put it out there. Because, see, to me, you can't really, Aaron. If we're going to talk about this, let's talk about it all, Aaron. Aaron, let's...
60 seconds, everyone.
We've got to deal with...
We're not on. Okay, I put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron, you still there?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. We like to forget, and we like to go with the prevailing winds instead of what is really what our principles should be, right? And you alluded to that in the last segment. The Anita Hill testimony, I think, is crucial, right? I remember being a little girl and watching that and thinking, why are they doing this to this woman?
Let me tell you, I was a grown girl, and it was so insulting to me. And I'm just getting into the workforce at that time. You're like, oh my gosh, they are. I mean, and anyone who knows anything about the Black culture, and if you just look at Anita Hill, she was just as clean as a whistle. Clean, lovely woman, church going, all of that. And for them to have disparaged her character,
10 seconds, everyone.
torn up her virtue. I mean, really to have attacked that? Oh no, they were awful. For him, please stand by.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. Monday, September 26, 2022, celebrating Erin Connolly's birthday. Hey, happy birthday, Erin. Yay. It was her birthday yesterday, but she's celebrating through the whole Libra season. There you go. So we send her some love, everybody, today. And then my brother Yusuf, happy birthday, sweetie. Happy birthday. Hope you have a marvelous day. Born Saturday, September 26, 1970. Remember it as if it were yesterday. Amen, amen, amen. And my baby sister, Jackie's birthday, is in 2 days. She was born on a Sunday. Little tidbit, everybody. I was born on a Wednesday, Jesse on a Thursday, Johnny on a Friday, Yusuf on a Saturday, Jackie on a Sunday, in birth order. You can't make this stuff up. What? Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. Let's talk about Virginia Thomas, what's going to happen with her with the January 6th committee. And as we look at conflicts of interest, what are the conflicts of interest? How do we handle them? And do we handle them the same way across the board? Or do we attack people who we don't like and the people, well, not we, if the establishment decides who they want to go after and they decide who they want to let go. For some reason, they have decided they are going after Donald Trump. For some reason. Don't tell me it's because he's a criminal. Because wait a minute, you got 1 million dead Iraqis and at least 1 million of them on a lie. On a lie. And we're not even talking about that, Dwight.
And what I was saying a minute ago is that, pillow talk is ideas of conflict of interest. She's whispering, in her husband's ear on policy. I'm sure that's going on and telling him that he needs to support, the banishment of Roe v. Wade. I'm sure that's going on. But if you want to ask Liz Cheney some questions, I think a real conflict of interest is your father being the vice president and the head of Halliburton and making billions of dollars off of unjust war that he creates out of the air that him and you benefiting from that with thousands and hundreds of thousands of people getting killed. That's an actual conflict of interest to me. So again, I get confused as to why we're preoccupied with their pillow talk. And, maybe we should be. But nobody's asking Liz Cheney the questions about the conflict of interest between her daddy and that war, and they're going to welcome her into the Democratic Party. Maybe it's just me, Santita. Maybe I'm just confused.
I'm a little confused. I mean, I'm not that confused. I'm just saying, I think what is confusing to me, Aaron and Daryl, is that our politics are so subjective. I don't know. I mean, I just see, I think we need to have principle-driven politics. And I don't see that. I see, the media told you to hate Donald Trump, so you hate him. Okay, I get it. But they can do that to anybody, right? They can do that to anybody. I mean, Nixon was out of office, not even 2 years after he'd been reelected in a landslide. When the corporate media decide to go in on you, they do that. They do it. And when they decide to cover up a crime, they do that. When they decide to make up or manufacture one, they do that too. I'm saying, look, when you are looking at all of this discussion that we're having about all this celebration of Liz Cheney today, God bless her, but what are y'all talking about? Everyone has known that you had a 60 Minutes interview yesterday, last night, in which it was said that Virginia Thomas's activism was an open secret in Washington. She is known to be a very powerful force in corporate, in corporate and in conservative politics. She's a very powerful woman. Everybody knows she had the White House on speed dial, but no one has ever said it. And everyone's been walking on eggshells, Daryl. Eggshells. But we're unwilling to look back at Halliburton and all the money that they made off of this illegal war and all the money that the Cheney family made. We're not willing to look at that. Don't want to look at it. Don't mention it, because she could become a Democrat and say what? We don't even agree on the issues. What are you talking about? I wouldn't have voted with Trump 93% of the time. She did, Daryl. She did it. And no one's saying a mumbling word. Is Daryl still there? He might be gone. I mean, Aaron, come on. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think we have to be very, very careful about elevating what people are doing versus elevating them in their entirety, right? We have to look at this full picture, all right? What is Liz Cheney's motivation now? It may be to shore up the future of her party that has, as you mentioned and Dwight mentioned very, very accurately, has propped up her family and their family business, right? This is where they had their power. And Donald Trump is taking a portion of the power from the GOP establishment.
Girl,
right?
He overthrew the entire. When he called Jeb Bush low energy, I mean, all these jokers were looking around each other on this stage, going, "What is this guy talking about?" And my brother Jonathan told me he told me a year before he was going to go that way. He said, "I would not." He's a street fighter, Santita. He's a casino owner. He's a street fighter. And as Dwight constantly reminds us, he was trained by the ultimate street fighter. And if I may say so, thug, Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn, who shadowed Joe McCarthy during the hearings. He was his lawyer. So, I mean, he was trained by the best. So I don't know what we're talking about here. Liz Cheney's being celebrated today. Virginia Thomas, she's gone from being Virginia to being Jenny, so she doesn't look to be as powerful. She's much more benign as Jenny than she is as Virginia. Think about the psychology of this, Aaron. Santita's one person, Sandy is another. You get me? You know that. Come on.
Absolutely.
What is this?
Yes. And we like, as your caller had mentioned, for white women in these spaces, there is not the same level of accountability and scrutiny. White men are even on a different level, right? Mm-hmm. But we're not taking into account the full motivation and history of what Liz Cheney represents. And the fact that she voted with Donald Trump and his allies 93% of the time, that is her power and her platform. That's what she stands for. This issue, people like to look at it as kind of the last chance of, some sort of redemption for Republicans. They had a chance when Donald Trump showed them who he was in those primaries. They had a chance over and over again before this insurrection happened. And they chose the power and they chose the popularity and they chose to ride that wave over defending democracy. And now they're on this extreme cleanup of the toxicity that has come out of what they've created. And while it's fine to have your Star Wars moment, but Darth Vader was still Darth Vader, even if he has some sort of redeeming quality at the end.
Well, let me ask you this.
We're talking about the managers of the Death Star here, and I don't believe that any Democrat that campaigns with Liz Cheney. I mean, can you imagine putting that on an email advertising that Liz Cheney is supporting your Democratic campaign? I can't.
Yeah, I can.
Make sense of it.
I can, because the Texas Tribune, which is a left-wing newspaper, had her at their festival yesterday behind Jamie Raskin. I mean, look. Before I go to Renee, who was called in, I mean, let me ask you this. Is it democratic for when I'm trying to get registered to vote that I have to tell you how many jelly beans are in the jar? Hello, Aaron.
Uh-huh.
Is it democratic for me to have to tell you how many jelly beans are in the jar when I'm trying to get registered to vote? Okay, of course not. But that's what black folks had to do. Democracy, that's something we've been trying to move toward. We have never had it. We're trying to get there. Well, we're trying to get there. Trying. But we need to fool ourselves about who we are, who we've been, and we just have a decision about who we want to become and where we want to go. Renee, what's on your mind today? Renee from Chicago.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call.
Hey, Renee.
Santita and Langston Hughes said, hey, America never was America to me. Hopefully one day it will be,
No, he said, this I
profess to
swear.
be, what we claim to be.
He said, this I swear, America will be. Now, that's how he concluded it. He said, now, America's going to be America. I'm going to make it so. Don't leave that part out, Madam Teacher.
Well, we're still fighting for that. But, when I think about the Iraq war, Santita, what I think about are two political parties who overwhelmingly supported that war based on propaganda, based on the corporate media constantly telling us, that we should be over there overthrowing Saddam Hussein. They told us we should be in Afghanistan. So I thought two parties doing the wrong thing. I was getting hate mail, posting stuff on AOL comments and stuff before because I was against the war. People were sending me hate mail. So Americans, led by our Congress, were in favor of that, which brings me to the conclusion that we need more than two parties that are actually one. We need an independent party that actually represents the people. And I bet a lot of people will follow that party, even though the media keeps telling us we can't have a third party in this country that'll be successful. We have to stop following,
corporate media.
The lines that they tell us and think. Right. And that's what the people in charge of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party say. You can't have a viable third party. Other countries have it, so why can't we? We've had other parties that have evolved or changed to be the two we have now. So we need to start following the scripts that they give us. And I think they do give us plenty of scripts. I don't know who's writing this narrative for Miss Cheney now and who tells you this person is good and that person is good. I have an idea. But I think there are plenty of scripts out there. Maybe somebody, Rahm Emanuel's brother, Ari, is related to his writing these scripts like he did for Emanuel when he came here. And when I think about Clarence Thomas, I can't help but think about Joe Biden when he led the judicial hearings, when the confirmation hearings, and when he made Anita Hill seem more like the culprit instead of the victim of this man who had all these sexual perversions when he was in charge of, wasn't that the EEOC, I think. But anyway, we have to become critical thinkers instead of just followers when we vote. And then we actually have to vote. Too many people just don't do it. And I really don't understand. But
I do. You know what? I mean, people have been told not to be hopeful. They've been told that they don't matter, and they're shown that in ways great and small. But the fact is, you really do matter. I was listening to some coverage of the Queen's passing and of her life last week, and they made the point that the Queen came out in 1997 to address the people after the royal family really did not handle the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, well, because she had to save the monarchy, because the monarchy exists with the permission of the people. All of this mess exists with the permission of the people. Corporate media are able to run roughshod over us with the permission of the people. You don't have cameras in the courtroom in the Supreme Court with our permission because we don't say anything. It's not because, these are the rules. No, darling. If you decide, what did they say in one of those Michael Moore movies? The interesting thing about America, as opposed to France, is that in France, the government is afraid of the people, but in America, people are afraid of the government. Now, what does that say to you about democracy and freedom and liberty here, Renee, before you go?
Right. We've been programmed that way, and we're following the program. I have to run, but thank you for taking my call. Have a great day.
Thank you for calling in, Renee. I mean, what does that say to you, Dwight? I mean, because the people who come to us and tell us that you've got the power, have the courage, stand up for yourself. We go on and slam them and slander them, and they ain't this, they ain't that. But the people who tell you to go along, get along, they're the ones who lift it up. Always, always. Dwight.
Well, in France, the government has a reason to be afraid of the people. It's called Remember the Bastille. I mean, the government head was put into and cut off by the people. And so they set a precedent for that. In America, the government has always done assassinations, and have always put the people in prison or in oppression or shot them to death. So there's a reason why we're afraid of the government. Is because they've always had the FBI and the Dulles brothers and the CIA and these covert operations where they kill people. And because we've always had a mechanism of propaganda, which we were just talking about in terms of how the corporate media groomed us to go in Iran and bomb the people and kill the people, and then we turn heroes into killers, is that that apparatus that the government controls is part of why we understand that we need to be afraid of the government. And, again, Marie Antoinette them will let you know why they need to be afraid of the people.
Well, the thing is, this is not living if you're living in fear. And God is not a God of fear. I mean, look, I can understand when my father would tell us, look, and it was painful as a child to hear this. After we would know if the security increased around the house or something like that, he would say, you know what, honey, I can't live with a ceiling on your ambitions. I can't live in fear. If something happens to Daddy, remember, we believe in God. We're going to a better place. But I want you to keep on fighting. I want you to do what you need to do, but don't live in fear. Don't do that. And we can't live in fear. Look at what's happening with us. They're telling us we have had our energy prices, Aaron, go up by 35% over the past couple of years. 35%. People are going to freeze this winter. They're going to freeze because they will not be able to afford to keep their homes warm. And with these smart meters, they regulate how much heat you get anyway. I mean, come on, Aaron. This is not the way we're supposed to be doing this. And while we're talking about democracy and all of this, that is not what this is.
Well, and I was actually reviewing my grandmother's electric bill with her yesterday. She's 85 years old and on a fixed income. The usage, she's concerned because my grandfather is now on oxygen. He needs it to survive now. He's been in ill health. That's part of the reason we're here. She's concerned that they're going to be out of their budget for their fixed income, which isn't really a concern, but she likes to worry about these things. Really, when you break down these electric bills too, what they're charging people is not for the usage, but for the delivery mechanism that has been built, that has already been paid for. So let's look at who is making profits off of our plight. It is these energy companies, big corporations, and they are getting the tax benefits that working folks are not. Working people in this country, retired or not, are paying more in property taxes than corporations. They're paying more in energy, and we're getting close to the edge here. And this is for most working families in America. And while we're looking at things that are easing some of these things, especially in Illinois, we have a break on food taxes. We have modified gas taxes, but it's still not going to be quite enough as we're going into the wintertime, as folks are concerned about buying medication, buying food, keeping warm. And I hope that some of the mechanisms in the Inflation Reduction Act can be expedited to ease the burdens. But this is also a political consideration as we go into the midterms. I had a great time on the doors here in Western Pennsylvania, a lot of great feedback on the progress that Democrats are making, but there were still a few folks that were visibly upset about the cost of living. And most of those folks are on a fixed income. They're senior citizens. They've worked hard their whole life. They're worried about their health care costs, and they're worried about paying their bills, and they want to pay their bills, right? So there's still this fear, this apprehension about who can actually solve these problems. And as we go into this GOTV season, we have less than 50 days till Election Day, and people are still hurting.
They're absolutely hurting. And you want to know where Donald Trump came from? Don't just say that it's all racists and white nationalists. That is not true. People in 2016 toggled, and you know this, Aaron, and you know this, Dwight, between Trump and who? Bernie. They wanted someone who's going to go and shake up the establishment. That's what they wanted. Now, they still don't want Bernie, but he is the most popular elected official in the United States, and he is more popular than Trump and Biden for president as presidential contenders. But guess who won't let him through? The Democratic Party. Think about that, everybody. Think about it. This is your country. You must take it back. And you need to ask questions of all these people just feed nothing. Remember, there are no free lunches, Dwight. So when you're looking at these news, the news, and you think it's free, it's not free. Look at the advertisers. Nothing is free in life. Nothing. You pay for everything. Think about that, everybody. Dwight, stay right there, everybody. Go to the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. We're going to carry this conversation on just for a few more minutes. But I've got Chaparral. Chaparral we tried to reach you this morning several times, but I know you're busy. Chaparral. And I know you want to say something about this, so stay over to the other side to talk about this, okay?
Santita, yes, we had a busy weekend. We had a beautiful wedding for the Greenlee and Wells, and we have been recovering from all of our weekend activities. But we are still taking orders for food, as well as also custom decor, as well as also our floral design. So don't hesitate to give us a call at 708-526-4546. 708-526-4546. We'll be serving you soon, Santita. I am making your oxtail soup this week, and I'm sorry I didn't get to tell you over the weekend, but I promise you it's coming.
I'm waiting for my oxtail soup, and then just put some more oxtails on the side, too. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
You know, because look, my family's heard me talk about this. I got to share now. And happy birthday, Yusuf.
I'll make a big pot so you can share with everyone.
Oh my gosh, so greedy, so greedy. You all want happy birthday, Yusuf. Happy birthday, Aaron. Girl, the 40s are going to be fabulous. I'm telling you, when you get there next year. You're not there yet, but I promise you they're going to be fabulous. And plus, you're fabulous. We love you. Give my little godchild John a big hug and a kiss, and your grandparents. Love and hug. Stay right here on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Everybody, please. October 11th, we are going to be having an event with Greg Palast, and I've got to get my guy Rick. That's right. He is really ushering this through. We're going to have a documentary, and we're going to show it at Rainbow Push at 930 East 50th Street. Morning Stars, come on out. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And, you might have to come up with some little munchies for us, Chaparral. We'll just have to see, because it's going to be great. And it's about the best democracy money can buy. So everybody, I want you to call me. Well, actually, I'm not going to take any calls right now, but continue to continue to reach out to me on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel as we close out this conversation about Liz Cheney and conflicts of interest, and Virginia Thomas, and conflicts of interest, and how the American system really, really works. I know you can't wait, Chappelle. Just hold on. Hold your horses, sister. Hold on. We're going to get your thoughts on the other side. Stay right here, everybody. Oh, yeah, on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel and the Santita Jackson and Friends page. And go to 930 50th Street, Rainbow Push. We are collecting water for the people of Jackson. They are still having some issues down there, and we want to let them know that we're thinking of them. I love you, everybody. God bless you. And happy birthday to all the Librans. God bless you. Okay, Chappelle, go for it, girl. Is it Liz Cheney? Is it Virginia Thomas? Is it both? I don't know.
Well, I have a comment about both. Just like I wrote on your page about Liz Cheney, I just don't think that we need any more Democrats like Manchin or Sinema or Lieberman who will hold the Democratic Party hostage when it comes to voting. And so, as you stated that she's voted 95% of the time with Trump,
93.
It tells you that her philosophy,
93.
93%, 93% of the time with Trump, her philosophy is considerably conservative. So we don't need anyone on the Democratic Party, and Democrats fall for this trick every time. And I'm like, come on, we've already seen it with Manchin, we've already seen it with Sinema, we've already seen it with Lieberman, and probably many of the other blue dog Democrats. That's what holds up the progress. So if we accept her, we are accepting once again to be in this trick bag, and so she'll have power. So now we'll have three Democrats holding up progress as opposed to the two that are holding up progress right now. It makes no sense to me. So I'm not supporting her converting over to the Democratic Party or even us
campaigning. How's she going to campaign for Democrats, Chappelle? Chappelle, what's she going to say? I hate Trump. I hate Trump. I hate Trump. That's why I'm telling you. That's why. Wait a minute. Stay right there, Chappelle, and White and Aaron. Stay right there, Chappelle, because I want you to weigh in on Virginia Thomas too. That's why the whole anti-Trump argument to me is specious. It's not even real, because you have someone who only dislikes Trump personally because he talked about her friends. That's the only reason, and that's the only reason she said she's not going to be campaigning for him. Dangerous to democracy. Nothing was more dangerous than what happened in 2000 and 2001. That's why we're here. That's part of the reason we are here. So are you serious right now? And yet we let this go on. And the only thing we want to hear from her. We don't want to hear her take on affirmative action, on closing the wealth gap for women and people of color. No, we don't want to hear her stance on COVID and funding COVID, not just research, but medicines and vaccines. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear anything of consequence. We don't want to hear what she wants to do for public schools. We don't want to hear any of that. We just want to hear her say she can't stand Trump. And if she says that, we're all right. Are you serious? Are you serious? You can't be serious about your politics if that is the only thing that is going to make you like her. That is crazy. I want to know where people stand on the issues. That's what I want to know. Chappelle, continue.
Yeah, I just think that, as Democrats, we have to be more strategic in our purposes, what we want, and we're never going to get what we need if we continue to look at, personalities and stuff like that. When we look at the surface of what about the issues, because nobody is talking about issues and what the American people need. Everyone is talking about personalities. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? This is not even important to me. I don't care who sleeping with who. I don't care if he's going to jail. We know he ain't going to jail. We know Trump is not going to jail. We know that they're not going to prosecute him. We already know that. I'm tired of hearing about it. I need to know what's the wisdom. What are you going to do for me? That's it.
How are you going to relieve me? How are you going to relieve some of this pressure for everyday Americans? I want the inflation to go down.
No, wait. We know this. Hold on.
That's what
Wait
it's
a minute.
going to
Hold
be.
on, Chaparral. If someone wants to relieve you, now they're going to go to prison. Think of Governor Ryan, who did a moratorium, Aaron and Dwight, on the death penalty. He said, I'm not going to kill someone who might be innocent. And when he did that, I was living in New York, and I was, of course, that was breaking news all over the world. And I was watching television, and all of my Black friends, Aaron and Dwight and Chaparral, said, he's going to prison. We knew he was going to prison because he was trying to help the people. Chaparral. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, and then when we talk about Jenny Thomas, I was watching the Dahmer documentary on Netflix last night,
and Paula keeps telling me about it. She said, they said complimentary things about Reverend in it because he was fighting for all these Black and brown people he was killing. What? Who does this? Chaparral.
They actually did, Santita, and it was shocking to me. But it was this one point where he had gotten caught molesting a 13-year-old boy, Filipino boy, I believe, and the judge was like, "Hey, I'm going to let you out because I think that you could be redeemed, and we're going to seal your records. We're going to seal your records so that no one can see you." So when I think about Jenny Thomas, and I'm like, this is what's happening. They give they give all these people cover, and they continue to hurt the American people. Ain't no way I could sit up here and commit espionage and have a riot and plan a riot and still be sitting on the golf course, drinking champagne with my friends. Ain't no way in life I'm gonna be able to do that. They'd have been like, excuse me, this way. We going to the back room. We would be locked up. Before we would be guilty before we even had a trial. And so I just think that, unfortunately, this is the American way. They have selective prosecution. They have, why does she still have all this power? They would have blackballed every Black person's name. They wouldn't even be able to show their face outside. And so we see the grave indifference that is giving these certain people cover. And it's very disheartening to me because I know that as a Black person, we would not have even an inkling of this much cover. Not even. We don't have cover. We just wouldn't.
Well, you know what? I mean, this is my thing. I don't want to have a cover on anything that is unjust, period. I mean, you can see the injustice, as it's focused on Black people, but it's like, enough of that already, everybody. Aren't y'all tired of this? Aren't you tired? I don't know. Before we go, let me find out, what are your final thoughts? Aaron, birthday girl, campaigning. Well, first of all, how is it looking in Pennsylvania?
Well, I think it's looking great for some of the progressive movement building that I see happening in Allegheny County. And the organizers I walk with and the feedback we got on these doors, the approach that they're taking to movement building and community organizing is they're playing the long game and they're building power community by community, voter by voter, and it seems to be working. We need all the help we can get in Pennsylvania for these statewide candidates. I think there's a lot of momentum for Josh Shapiro and John Fetterman, but it's going to be a tough foot race here at the end, as any marathon is, right? And we see a lot of money pouring in negative ads, negative mailers, attacking John Fetterman for his health and some other unfair characterizations. So If you're out in Pennsylvania, sign up for a canvas shift, talk to your neighbors. That is really how we turn that tide. But I think so far the Pennsylvania Democrats are looking at it the right way, and at least in Western Pennsylvania, where I am, are really putting in the time and energy to build a progressive movement and not just look at it as one election. This election is important, and I think they're going to come out on top. But how you organize in these times matters, and I think they're doing it the right way. And it was so fun to be a part of it. And I look forward to doing some more doors today.
And of course, you got your son out there with you. Reminds me of the way we used to do it. Our parents had us out there. Had us out there, boots and snowsuits and canvassing. That's how you do it. That's how they used to do it. My mother
full contact sport.
Look, she put my brothers in strollers, and I was walking beside her. Here we go. Because my parents get to having babies. That's how that goes. Dwight, your closing thoughts.
Well, Gladys had a song one time. She said, "You're like a diamond, but she treats you like glass. You beg her to love you,
but
me, you won't ask." Is that the Democrats have a habit of courting people who abuse them and abusing people who really try to help them. There is something distorted about our thinking, something convoluted about our approach to politics.
So what's the answer? What do you think we should be doing, Dwight?
Loving those who love us and disregarding those who disregard us. I think that we should first define who we're going to be in this, what we really stand for. Do we progressive politics that expands goods and services to the masses, or do we stand for maintaining the status quo and keeping our own little position in play?
Mm-hmm.
And once we decide what we stand for, then our politics should reflect that and follow that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it makes sense that if we are a party of progressives and a party of those who are for the people, then those people that we should exalt and defend and invest in, people like Bernie Sanders and those who are on the left, the progressives on the left, that they should be our priority, as opposed to our priority being those who really are fundamentally on the right, or the really Republicans and Dixiecrats, that we then put all our time in trying to court and impress and ultimately compromise with and give our principles up for. Because I don't think we really decided who we want to be and how we want to be in this thing. So to put more investment and time in the speculation that one day Liz Cheney will declare herself Democratic without having the reforms in her program and her attitude and the conversion of her principles, as opposed to in us courting her, and ultimately we defer to her and bring her in the party and give her an amount of power. At the same time, we disrobe Bernie Sanders and the Jesse Jacksons, and those have been a real intimate part of trying to make the party more progressive. Something is ill to me about that.
And that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. You're right. That is what we do. And it's like, if you want something different, you need to do things differently. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and again, over and over and over again, and thinking that believing that you're going to get different results. Not going to happen, my friends. Are you still there, Chapearl?
I am, Santita.
I know you're holding on because she's going to have the last word, Dwight. So go on, let her.
No, Santita, I just totally agree with what Dwight just said. That, it's
like I don't understand what we're doing as Democrats, but the Democrats, they're vocal about the wrong stuff. We have them more vocal about Liz Cheney than about these progressive Democrats that are trying to, and it's crazy to me. I know it's not.
Did you see the news this morning, Chappelle? She led the news.
Yes.
I was like, wait, you have not asked her a question about policy. She has not changed one policy. All she's telling you and me and everybody is that I don't like Trump. And that gets you a round of applause? Are you for real? That's why I told you this anti-Trump discussion is a lie. And it is misleading us and it's misdirecting us from the issues that really matter. You're going to like or dislike people all day long. Stop it. Because all she does is not like him. She agrees with him politically. She voted with him 93% of the time. In most classes, that's at least an A minus. 95 can really be a true A, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, y'all really.
But that's what I'm saying. How many times we gonna fall for the okie doke?
I don't know.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's like when my grandmother used to always say, when you see a fool, bump their head.
I'm with your grandmama. I'm like, are you serious right now? I mean, this is it. I mean, This is.
You're not hearing anything about Val Demings. You're not hearing anything about Mandela Barnes.
No.
You're not hearing anything about Charles Booker. You're not hearing anything about Reverend Warnock. They're not leading. The Democrats are not leading the messaging with these critical races that they definitely need the publicity and they definitely need the support. So it just makes no sense to me, Santita.
Oh, no, it makes sense. You just need to understand they don't want Warnock to win. They don't want Mandela Barnes to win. They don't care about that. They don't want Val Demings to win. So I'm like, what do y'all want then? I mean, I just want to, what do you want?
Maintain the status quo.
Okay, all right.
They want to maintain the status quo.
Look, just as long as you know that that's what this is about, then we're good. So when someone comes up to you talking about how much they hate Trump, just turn your head, honey. Turn your head. Turn your head.
And that's why, and this is the exact reason why Democrats are progressive, especially progressive Democrats, are so disenchanted right now because they see the game that the Democrats play. And so then you want to sit up here and you want to pump up Liz Cheney and not even acknowledge all the other progressive people that are fighting for us. And then you want us to go out here and vote. It's not going to happen. None of this is going to translate into vote. What it's going to translate into is more disenchantment. And that's the risk that the Democrats are taking right now.
Well, is it a risk or is it a plan, Dwight? I mean, because I don't. Every time, if every time I look at you, you're snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. I don't understand that.
Well, that's what I said before, that they all have the same interest. Biden, Thomas, and his wife is preserving, maintaining the status quo. Is that there's some people that this economy and this society works well for, and they want to maintain that, and that the expansion of that into real democracy and real equity is not in their interest, because in their mind it takes from their resources and their power. And so as I look at the Democratic Party, that to me is how it operates. When you get people in the party popular people who are talking about real change, like the Bernie Sanders, they're excommunicated. And then you get the other people to the right who really work very hard to maintain the status quo, like a Manchin or Liz Cheney. They're elevated. which means that some people is in their interest to give the illusion that they are trying to do better and expand democracy, expand the tent. It's really all it is an illusion. What they really want to do is make sure that they preserve what is that works for them and theirs, even at the expense of others anywhere in the world, whether it's in the United States or the third world or the Middle East. It's all a pretense. And that's why I said that. To me, pillow talk and the relationship between Clarence Thomas and his wife, that's a conflict of interest. And I see why, people raise it as an issue. I just don't understand, since we're talking about conflict of interest, why nobody's asking Liz Cheney about her daddy and him and Bush starting a war and they're making billions and billions of personal dollars out of this war and killing hundreds of thousands of people. How come that's not a conflict of interest? And how come nobody's asking that same question?
Aaron, you have anything else you want to say? This is a whole lot. Well, Aaron might be gone, but you know what? I hear you. I just say, it's the inconsistency for me, everybody. It's the inconsistency. It's the inconsistency. And we have got to be careful about that. That's why I'm saying all she has to say to you is that she does not like Trump. I'm going to do everything I can to keep him out the White House. That's because they're mad about 2016. Because he absolutely did a reset on establishment Republican politics. He did that. And they are upset about it. Don't you remember when, during one of the debates, Dwight and Chappelle, as Trump came out, George W. Bush's father, he did like the neck cutting gesture with his finger to Trump. I said, ooh wee, these folks are not happy. Of course they're not happy. This is personal for these people. In the meantime, in 2 years, we're paying 35% more in energy prices just to try to stay warm with smart meters that only allow you to get a certain amount of heat anyway. These are the questions that you need to be asking every day. Where do you stand on opening up the doors of opportunity for everybody? Instead of looking at, look at President Trump and his deal with the banks. But it ought to have you questioning the banking system from which you cannot get a loan, particularly if you are black or brown, especially if you are black. Who assesses the values of a home, so that black families have their homes assessed at far beneath market value because they're black and white families? That does not happen to them. Are you serious? So when I say to you last week, hey, this is an opportunity while we're looking at President Trump, former President Trump, it's an opportunity for all of us to look at the system because the system is a mess. You get angry with me because I don't sound like Liz Cheney. I just can't stand Trump. No, sis, you like him fine, honey. You like him fine. You voted with him 93% of the time. No, you like him a lot. You just angry with him. This is not political for you. This is personal. Then just say it. But don't play with us. And don't you allow yourself to be played. This is personal, everybody. This has nothing to do with politics. They agree with each other politically. Where they disagree is on that which is personal. You pushed me out of power. You pushed me out of influence. That's all it is. It ain't got nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with how much you're going to eat and what's going to happen for you and opportunity with your children. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It has everything to do. It's very, very personal. And that ought to be insulting to you for people to try and play you that way. Not try. They are playing us. Playing us. Don't get played. You don't want to do that in any relationship. That's why, Laura, it's personal. I'm going to pray for her too.
Dangerous, though?
Huh?
What what makes it dangerous is that it's personal, but we're willing to invite them in the party and to acquiesce power to them and have them shift our politics to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're there's such a fetish about appealing to people who really don't operate in our interests. That's what makes it so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
That then we're going to open the door and say, come over here and sit here and let us surround you with resources and power and influence. And bend our party bend this party in that direction. That's the foolishness that's involved.
And we're asking no questions about that.
It's not like, and that's why I said it's not like Lynn Cheney converted. They ran her out of the Republican Party. She does not have options like that. So we become a place that she can lay her head and redevelop her influence in her own power base and vote on some more wars in Halliburton's behalf. Come on, y'all. Be more thoughtful than that.
Absolutely.
So what is Jamie Harrison saying about this whole fiasco with Lynn Cheney?
I don't know.
That's my point. That's my point. We have Democratic leadership that do not lead. They follow. What the heck is going on?
I don't know. Dwight, do you have an answer?
No, I don't know.
No. Bottom line, no, don't know. Have no idea. I mean, but that's why I was saying, for me, this is like, hold on, you guys. This is what you all are doing. That's why I've said to you, Chappelle, the whole I hate Trump. I'm like, is that all y'all got? Because that's all she's bringing you. She's not bringing you anything but that. She's bringing you all of the right-wing policies. That's what she's bringing you. And that's okay with you. Because as long as she says, I had one of my dear girlfriends tell me that he is evil incarnate. Now, I took it seriously because she is deeply, deeply religious. And I was like, wait, how did he get horns? What are you talking about? Biden was the one who did not want your child riding on the school bus to be in a school with his. He was anti-busing. Hello.
That shows you the power of corporate media and how they are able to paint the picture and change the mind and the mindset. Yeah. That's what that's all about.
Absolutely. So that's why I'm saying, wait, y'all, hold on. Wait a minute. And you know what? When you tried to find the big story from Politico that talked about him and his issues with busing, guess what? You couldn't find it. They had wiped it out. Remember that, Chappelle, when I was doing that story, when I first started this show? Yeah. And I had to call the author. There were so many searches for it. They finally put it back up. But I called the author of the story, who I've had on the show several times. And he said, people have called me and they have told me that they can't find my story anymore. Don't get played. The people who stand up for you get slammed all the time. They can't make it to the news. They can't make news. So, hey, there's a lot that we really need to start thinking about, everybody. Liz Cheney voted with President Trump 93% of the time. Now, if that is going to be the metric by which you measure, if you're going to be anti-Trump, what are you anti-Trump for? Then that ought to, Dwight, I think people need to ask that question. Well, then why don't you like him? Because you can't give me any policy reason. You can't tell me policy. I can give you some policy, but most of us can't do that. We are just looking at the corporate media and they told us not to like this guy, and then that's it. They also told you not to like Dr. King, and guess what? It worked. He was the most unpopular man in America when he was killed. And because he became so unpopular in the Black community, that opened the door for him to be assassinated. Watch it. Watch it. Dr. King, you saw that in real time, did you not, Dwight?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay, could Dr. King get a pulpit? He was going to retire from the movement because he said, I have become an impediment, I fear. I'm either going to fast unto the point of death or I'll fast to death. I want to do something because I think I'm in the way now. He could not get in a pulpit in the Black community, y'all. His anti-Vietnam speech was given at a big white church, Riverside, which is a mainstream white church. William Sloane Coffin and all these other people have been the pastors. That's where he delivered that speech. He couldn't get in a Black pulpit. Don't talk to me about what the corporate media will do and how they will turn the people. They can turn anybody into your enemy. I'm not making a case to make Trump to make him anything that he is not. But I think if you're going to dislike him, first of all, disliking anyone is unhealthy. Spiritually, it's unhealthy. Stop it. But if you are going to oppose him politically, understand why you're opposing him politically. And most of us have no idea. You just hear all of these talking heads, which are mostly empty, on television and on radio telling you what to think. Because everybody around the table is applauding everybody on the table. If I get on a panel right now and say, well, I don't, Liz Cheney, well, no, she voted with Trump 93% of the time, I would be attacked and I would not be invited back. Is that not true, Dwight?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. I'm just saying, y'all. I'm saying to y'all, this is what the deal is. Dr. King was hated. He was hated. He was hated. He was hated. And the media told you to hate him. They told you to hate him, and we believed it. And it set the climate for his assassination. Is that not true, Dwight?
That's absolutely true.
When you begin to hate a person, it softens the ground for them to be killed. Okay? Just know that. I've had to observe it because I've had to live it all my life. When will we learn? Malcolm was hated. He'd been told by certain factions said he deserves to die. And they went on and on and on. And guess what? That's what happened. I'm just saying, watch it. Everybody, watch it. Watch it. Watch it. If you're going to disagree with Trump, then you know what? Find some reasons to disagree with which you can disagree with him. Then do that. But now you have someone who's being trotted out here as a hero to us because she doesn't like Trump. That's all you got. Come on, y'all. All you got is she doesn't like Trump. She's my friend. No, she's not. Stop it. Stop getting played, y'all. Stop getting played. She is not your friend. She doesn't vote for anything that is in your best interest. She votes against it. The people of Wyoming got sick of her because they're sick of establishment Republicans. That is the dirty little secret that corporate media will not tell you. Corporate Republicans are wiped off the map. And they are busy trying to play catch up. Are they not, Dwight? They're trying to figure it out.
That's correct.
Dwight said it. They're trying to figure it out. Like, well, no, darling, y'all missed the boat. Like Bernie got a chunk of the Democratic Party, darling. Make no mistake. The Democratic Party is not the same. It's not the same. Game changer. That's what it's called. So everybody, let's start thinking. Everybody, let's start thinking. Let's start thinking. Let's be thinking people. Let's be thinking people. So I love you, everybody. Well, I'm just saying, let's think so that we can think our way through this. That's the only way we're going to get through this. They're telling us that it's going to be a cold winter. Literally, it's going to be a cold winter. They're telling us that we are not going to, that it's going to be much costlier. And they're going to blame it on Putin. Putin ain't giving us no gas. He is Europe's problem, honey. Yeah, I said it. And I'll keep on saying it. As Aretha Franklin saying, give me something I can feel. How about that piece? Isn't that what she said, Dwight and Chappelle? Give me something I can feel. Ooh, baby, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's get real about this. Let's get real. Let's get real. Dwight, you have anything you want to say before we go? Chappelle?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Don't eat ham, cheese, or bacon. That's what one of our friends who was Muslim used to tell us that too. That's how he would close out conversations. My father was like, do not have him tell our children that ignorance, Jackie. Please don't. Islam is very serious. It's a real religion. I don't want that watered down for our kids so they don't understand it. This is silly. My poor father, boy. Oh, love y'all. Do you have anything to say, Chappelle?
No, Santita. Everyone have a blessed day and a great week.
I can't believe Chappelle doesn't have anything to say. Now, Chappelle, when are we going to get these, when am I going to get my oxtails?
I'm going to try to do it properly. I want to say I'm coming that way on Wednesday. So it looks like Wednesday.
Girl, when I called you yesterday, I was so tired. Do you know I'd been asleep all afternoon, much of the afternoon? I was just exhausted. I mean, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about it. I was just so exhausted yesterday, and I really felt it. And I'm seeing it in my body. So in fact, I'm going to rest a little bit now, and then I'm going to get on with my day since I've been going since 2:00 this morning, everybody. But I want to send you all much love. Thank you for being with us today. Let me see. Daniel, what did you say? Europe is kneeling to USA corporate interests, not their own interests or people. Everybody's kneeling to corporate interests. It's ridiculous. And they're not helping us at all. That is unacceptable. It ought to be unacceptable to us. That's my point. I just want us to start thinking and start thinking for yourself. Start thinking. That's all. Start thinking, everybody. Start thinking. Start thinking, everybody. Start thinking. You know that this stuff is not right. You know it. Don't let somebody do your thinking for you. Don't let them do it. And don't look. If someone is not going to ask Liz Cheney about how she has voted in the past, if someone is not going to tell you about how she has voted with this man 93% of the time, and no one's saying that, oh, well, this is personal. No one's going to say anything. And that ought to be unacceptable to you. Some questions that we need to be asking that we're not asking, and we need to do that. So everybody think about that, and I love you. Love you. I can't wait to be with you tomorrow, Lord willing. God bless you, and I am out of here, everybody. As they say, Audi 5000. Bye-bye. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Chappelle.